Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 10 Capital Quick Pitch event. I would like to introduce you to two of our investors that we work with, Lianne from Horned Frog Network and Chee-We from Oakseed Ventures. Lianne, can you tell us a little bit about your organization and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am the program director for the Horned Frog Investment Network. We're based out of TCU and we're trying to grow the angel investment network in the Fort Worth community. We focus a lot on education as well. So we'll be having an event called Venture 101 February 2nd. If you guys are in the Fort Worth area, you should definitely come check it out. Um, I am formerly a middle school teacher and got my MBA at TCU. Got an economics degree at Harvard and decided teaching was for me, much to my parents' for. And so now I'm very excited to be on the higher education side of things, looking at VC stuff and angel stuff.
Great. And Chee-We, if you will tell us a little bit about your organization and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Oakseed Ventures is a seed stage venture capital firm. So we invest in seed and pre-seed startups. We are based in California, and so we work a lot with founders that are starting out. I myself was originally a programmer, studied computer science and electrical engineering. And we love investments in AI, cybersecurity, and generally speaking, SaaS and infrastructure. I also have been a judge at the MIT 100K business plan contest for longer than you can remember. And I also mentor MIT students every winter in terms of the Stop MIT program and entrepreneurship and so forth.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today. And with that, we will get it kicked off. Let me go back and grab our first presenter. I'd like to introduce you to Art from Nuvothera. Art, if you'll share your screen and take it away.
All right, great. Sounds good. Thank you very much. All right, very good. So my name is Art Clapp, and I'm the CEO of Nuvothera, and we make over-the-counter products to treat skin diseases. Our first product that we launched is for the treatment of psoriasis. If you're not that familiar with psoriasis, it's characterized by these silvery plaques, not a very beautiful condition. So people find it to be very embarrassing, but mainly it's really difficult to control it. There's many drugs to treat the condition, but the problem is that the majority of patients are still seeking more effective and safer treatments. And a recent survey in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology basically showed that 85% of the patients still want better therapies. The patients are getting the results that they want, mainly because of recurrences. But one of the main things is that they're really concerned about the side effects. The side effects, that are listed are really dangerous in that they are immunosuppressant type drugs. So they cause cancer and deadly infections. So people are really afraid to use them. So we knew there was a better way. So we developed a product called Prosoria, which is an over-the-counter treatment system. It's a two-step system that is as effective as prescription drugs, but without the side effects. Even with the over-the-counter offerings that are available today, the consumer appeal is not very good. They're really older drugs, older products. They're 20 to 40 years old. They're smelly, they're greasy. You have to apply them many times a day just to get them to work a little bit. And we have an advanced system, a two-step system that is so effective. You only have to apply it once a day. We use salicylic acid as the main, is the active ingredient and other things in there, but and so it doesn't have the smell of coal tar as most of the others. But the main thing is that we boost the results of our products using very effective botanicals and delivery systems, and our products work really fast. And they feel great on the skin, just like cosmetics, Lancome. But just to show you the kind of results that we get, you can see here the kind of results after 12 to 16 weeks of just using our product alone. These are the results you tend to get with prescription drugs, not with over-the-counter treatments. So our products really work very well. And here's a clinical study we recently presented at one of the medical meetings. You can see the slope of the line. You have very quick, fast results. It's very effective, as good as the topical prescription drugs that are available today. So talking about the market in the business, it's a very attractive market, about $13 billion with a really good growth rate, about a 5-year growth of about 11%. There's about 9 million people in the US, but 125 million people worldwide. And we focus on the top 80% of the population with mild to moderate condition. Our go-to-market strategy, initially we launched the products online and we doubled our sales every year, but the goal was always get into retail where we could really scale. And so recently we got into Walgreens and CVS. And in fact, in the first couple of months, we were the #1 psoriasis treatment. But now that we're in retail, we were really starting to scale. And so, as I mentioned, our products perform really well, but so is our company. We've been doubling our sales every year. And now that we launched it into Walgreens, CVS, next year we're trying to get it into Walmart and Target, and then Costco later. And so we're really starting to expand our sales. Once we got it into the retail stores, we even found that our Amazon sales, there's a halo effect once you're in Walgreens and CVS, and everything starts to improve, and all the added advertising. But to maintain this rapid growth over time, we have a rich pipeline of products that we've developed, and we're going to launch, just to show you them, 1 to 2 products every year. And basically we're launching in the largest dermatology markets next year, an anti-inflammatory moisturizer in a huge multiple $billion1 eczema, wart treatment, acne, rosacea, nail fungus, 3 or 4 years later. And 1 out of 5 people have toenail fungus, 1 out of 3 people over 65. And we're currently in discussions with some partners that we have that are in other countries, one right now in India and Asia. Just kind of show you the results that we get. Are one of our strengths is developing products. We'll tell you our background in a little bit, but we're experts in veterans in the healthcare and skincare dermatology area. And as you can see, the before picture of this woman that had acne, moderate acne, and after treatment with one of the next products that we'll be launching, you can see that we bring smiles to our patients' faces, but also we hope to bring smiles to our investors' faces also. So on to the next slide here. So the consumer campaign that we have ongoing, it's a full 360-degree digital advertising campaign that's really been driving our sales and pulling product from the retailers. But what we're different compared to all the other competitors, just like my background, I was working for a pharma company in dermatology for the last 20 years. And unlike any of our other competitors, we promote to the dermatologist. And this is where a lot of our growth will continue to come from. We can expect 3 to 4 times what our competitors do because of our outreach to the dermatologist with sampling and coupons and detailing and so forth. So here's our management team. We're highly experienced. We have a track record, excellent track record of launching some of the largest blockbusters in dermatology, prescription over-the-counter products. I was fortunate to launch many of them. And I launched a product called Cetaphil, which is now over $1 billion consumer product, and other products like Differin, which became the #1 acne product in the world. Here are some of our advisors: medical, legal, regulatory, and business. And so in terms of raising capital, we're seeking $1 million as a convertible note to continue with the launch of Walgreens and CVS, mainly with marketing and to help cover the inventory and to help bolster the growth that we're making with pursuing the dermatologist. But we have really great terms, 5% interest on the note. We have an attractive 35% discount with a $10 million cap. You can see in the bottom line there, we've been really successful in this round with the angel groups in Texas that we've been presenting to. We have good IP. We have one patent that was granted in 2020, another patent granted this year in 2023. And here's some of the typical potential acquirers in the future: pharma, dermatology companies that like to have, the evergreen effects of over-the-counter products. You lose patent of your prescription drugs, just like at Cetaphil. When I was at Galderma, that product continues every year growing 1 to 200 million a year, even though it has no patents anymore. And then there's other consumer products companies that you're familiar with, and these are people that we're starting to talk to already. And so here's our exit strategy. We expect to exit in 3 to 5 years. Sooner than later is better, and with a 3 to 4 time multiples. And we've gotten that information from these comparables here of similar companies that have exited recently. So if you're interested in Nuvothera, please let me know, and I'd love to answer any questions.
I think you've got the interesting product. I'm not familiar with the skin care space as much. Just wondering, sort of like, what's that breakthrough that you've got in your team? Because as you listed, right, there are many such big corporations with huge R&D budgets. They're always looking for new products to go into. Like, what is our secret sauce here that's allowing us to do this?
Yeah, so we're I spent a lifetime in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a scientist, so really understanding the mode of action, the inflammatory pathways. Most of the things we focus on dermatology. Most of the things are inflammatory dermatoses, and really understanding that and identifying the ingredients that actually work as well. The botanicals we use are really natural drugs, right? And so identifying the pathways. So for instance, we like to use turmeric. It's very active in the skin, and it really is effective blocking the inflammatory mediators that cause these disease, exactly the same as the top prescription drugs today. And really identifying, putting those, we have a lot of like for instance, even the patents and things that we have, turmeric is bright orange, and so topically it wouldn't be good in the skin. So I developed the way how to make it white. So there's many things that we have that is related to the secret sauce. But as you can see in the photos and the clinical studies, they don't lie, and that's a good thing in dermatology. It's all visual and visible. And the other products out there don't have those kinds of results today. It's a new generation of over-the-counter products that we can make with our knowledge. I worked with Galderma, the top #1 dermatology company in the world. I learned how to formulate products and use specific ingredients to get results that you don't see today. And most of the products today in dermatology over the counter are pretty old. So we're replacing those older products today.
My second question is around what are the unit economics, if you will, in terms of launching a product like this? Like, how much money do we need to spend in marketing and sales? I haven't looked at the cost structure of these things, but I presume that
So the what's really good is the margins are really, excuse me, let me turn that off there. The margins are really good. So, in the 70% range. In retail, it's a little bit less, probably 65%. And so that's the first good part. I have learned how to, and I have a lot of connections, right? Being in the farm industry, manufacturing and so forth. So I can bring these products to market, unlike other companies that might need to spend $500,000 mean, $500 million, or no, half a $1 million, I can do it in $100,000 to $200,000. Bring them to the market. We don't. One of the tricks I've learned is that I use the monograph system, so I don't have to go through and get the products approved. I use monograph ingredients, add other ingredients to it, and get great results. And all I have to do is register them with the FDA. So we save a lot of money, so we can get to market relatively quickly. I'd say within a year, typically. Could be sooner if we rushed it. And but with the high margins and what we know how to do, driving the sales with the dermatologist and the consumer, typically we can generate sales on the average with dermatology type products between $10 and $20 million for each product. So launching 5, 6, or 7 products, you have a 50 to 70 million or more business. So that's how the economics work out.
Great. And Lianne, do you have any questions for Art?
Yeah, the product sounds amazing. I follow a couple of dermatologists online, and it seems like a lot of them are making a more broad play instead of focusing on the derm market. What was the thought behind targeting dermatologists specifically and going after that? And then also, what are some of the benchmarks you'll want to hit with this new raise?
Yeah, so in terms of dermatology, it's a great place to be. I spent 20 years, and the company that I worked with, Galderma, when I started, was only a couple $100 million. When I left 15 years later, it was $6 billion. So it's a really good, generates a lot of sales. Skincare, the skin is the largest organ in our body, and just the way that the population is changing. I focus on over-the-counter products because I'm used to developing drug development and over-the-counter products. But the trends of today and self-treatment are perfectly there. Over-the-counter products have never grown faster than they have today because of insurance reimbursement, cost of drugs. It's cash pay, so the government likes it, insurance companies like it, and now people can diagnose themselves really easily, and it's visible, right? So Google is developing an app right now. I've seen it. You just take a picture of the skin disease, it tells you what it is, and then you can look for treatments. So, with the proper advertising. And with dermatologists, there's 16,000. You focus on 9,000. They do most of the work, and you reach them, and away you go. And they can recommend the product to 10, 20 patients, at least a month, if not more, a week in some cases. And you do the math, and it really just adds up. And that's why we focused on that. And you had another question about the
Yeah, in terms of benchmarks, how are you looking to spend the money, and what do you want how do you want the money to work for you?
Yeah, so this round is $1 million, and so we're spending it to really maximize the launch at retail, at Walgreens and CVS. Inventory costs are a lot more than we've had before in the past, and we have really good growth, and just really marketing, right? Marketing is probably the vast majority of it, and then really spending the money to really grow the dermatology recommenders, right? Take it to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and that's where we're spending the most on this. We'll have another round next year to convert people over, and that'll be the last round that we need to become cash flow positive. And these products really spin off a lot of cash. So once we get to that point, we'll launch 1 to 2 products a year and get to that 70, 80, 90, $100 million level as soon as we can.
Great. Well, thank you, Art, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, moving forward, next we will be talking to Buddy from Entac Medical.
Thank you very much. I'm Buddy Lyons. I am the CEO of Entac Medical, and we produce wearable AI devices for predictive medicine. We're a commercial digital health company, and we use acoustics to predict serious adverse events. We just launched our first product, Privacy A, which we'll talk about in the first quarter. And with 20 reps in the field and a $1.5 billion market, we've got traction. We've got 6 hospital systems representing 48 hospitals in various stages of value analysis for the device, also being considered for a 70+ hospital state surgical collaborative. Financing, we have a current $2.25 million note, 20% discount, and an $8 million cap. Was recently increased from $2 million as we went over that. The close is January, end of January, and our primary sales organization, Clinical Technology Inc., is one of our major investors and just made their second investment. The first thing that we are trying to concentrate on is a critical need for a solution for postoperative ileus, which is something most people have never heard of, that occurs at a $2.5 million US major abdominal surgeries. Postoperative ileus is acute paralysis of the GI tract that occurs greater than 24 hours after surgery. It is the most common complication in up to 30% of patients. There are other serious adverse events associated with it. It is the leading cause of readmission and prolonged length of stay. The problem right now is that patients cannot be identified as to who is at risk for developing an ileus greater than 24 hours after surgery. And the current protocols are very reactive, which increases patient risk, and hospitals lose money on every case. In one protocol where they do delayed oral refeeding after surgery and delayed discharge has an advantage of 0 readmissions, but they're holding up to 80% of their cases 3 to 5 days longer than necessary, which exposes the patient to hospital-acquired conditions, and they're losing $11,000 a case. And the other one, in early oral refeeding and early discharge, they lower the length of stay to around 5 days, which is great, but they are still losing money, about $4,000 each case, and they're driving a readmission rate of 20%. And it increases the risk of adverse events happening after discharge. Obviously, neither one of these is optimal. And with Privacy A, we provide precision medicine and postoperative care by proactively identifying at-risk patients for postoperative ileus. This enables personalized post-op refeeding and discharge strategies to optimize length of stay and to reduce readmissions. It's a very simple device to use. You place it on the patient's abdomen within an hour of surgery. Any quadrant will do. And it quantifies an acoustic biomarker that we call MH4. That's sort of the discovery of what all the IP is around. And it predicts at post-op hour 12 the risk of developing a postoperative ileus. The benefits of this are personalizing post-op care. Low-risk patients can undergo early oral refeeding and early discharge, which substantially reduces length of stay. High-risk patients would undergo delayed refeeding and delayed discharge, which reduces your readmission rate dramatically. It increases patient safety, and it turns all those losses for hospitals into profits in a fixed payment system that we have here in the United States. So the patient's benefits, the hospital benefits, the payers benefit, everybody benefits. So the value prop, how we demonstrate this to hospitals, is we compare it to their peers based on the difficulty of cases that they do, and see where Privacy A can move them on average length of stay. If you're in the 4th quartile, you've got a very long average length of stay and you're not doing very well. Privacy A can move most of these hospitals down into 1st quartile hospitals. And even those at the bottom can do something called ambulatory colectomy that we'll talk about. That'll even improve their length of stay. In this particular hospital, we could reduce length of stay up to 4 days, reduce readmissions by 43%, reduce patient risk. And we have a very sophisticated model that was developed by a health economics firm demonstrating that in intestinal surgery alone, the increased cash flow would be almost $10 million. Now, when you expand that out into major abdominal surgery, which is it'd have a 5-fold impact. So it could be as much as $50 million for this particular hospital in major abdominal surgery. We believe that ambulatory surgery is going to be really a major driver for this. There's surging interest in this because of the 1-day length of stay involved, as opposed to 5 to 12 days of length of stay. The hindrance there has been the inability to predict postoperative ileus patients. Privacy A has a 95% negative predictive value, which means if the device says that a patient's not going to develop postoperative ileus, it is correct 95% of the time. You can do this in at least 30% of the cases and save more than $10,000 per case. And we are the only game in town that it enables this to happen. The postoperative ileus market, $6.5 billion worldwide, about $1.5 billion in the US and the EU. It is a single-use device. We've got 20 contract sales organizations and 1099 reps in the field. We directly engage surgeons and identify champions to present to value committees. The average selling price of about $600 provides an 8 to 10 ROI, and the gross margin is greater than 80% at scale. Several things we're doing to expand the adoption of it. We're expanding the sales force. Last May, which was very much earlier than we thought it wouldn't happen until fourth quarter this year, we got a label expansion into major abdominal surgery, increasing the market size. The ambulatory colectomy that we're just beginning to roll out, the collaborative that we're doing, we believe is going to be a big driver. We've got lots of traction with 6 hospitals in various stages of VAC committee. We've got 8 clinical trial sites that when this trial is over, they want to be customers of ours. And we have a 70 hospital state surgical collaborative who wants to use the device in ambulatory colectomy as well. Previs EA led us to this, Previs AI, which is a rapid development acoustic IoT platform. We have the second product that's already coming out, which is the replacement product for Previs EA. It's different. It uses machine learning versus feature engineering. What that means is it's more accurate out of the box. It continuously improves performance over time. And it's a much cheaper device to produce, like 50% less than a Previs EA device. Also leads us into other applications by doing other IoT, audio IoT wearables, like in bronchospasm and asthma, or predicting decompensation in CHF. And you're going to see some data between now and the end of the month. As a matter of fact, I just got this data yesterday, and I just put this slide up here. The preliminary data is better than expected. We've chosen an indication in a $5 billion market. From here to commercialization is probably about 24 months, and I've got more for this coming soon. It just happened yesterday, so I didn't have a lot of time to put a lot of detail in there. I have a well-rounded management team. We have board members who have had significant exits of their own, multiple exits of their own, and a very experienced sales team with Kent Kraft at Clinical Technology Inc., the primary right now, the primary sales organization for who has 2 investments in Entac, and then Scott Nelson, a 1099 sales consultant. We're very capital efficient. We've raised $6.1 million in the company's history. We got Previs EA from concept to clearance in $3.75 million. The round that's coming up is $2.25 million. We've extended that close until 1/31 because we got oversubscribed there. We have several investors who are interested in getting in. That's going to really help us expand revenue, Previs EA revenue, probably beginning in the first quarter of next year. The proof of concept data that I just talked about in Previs AI, the rollout of the colectomy, moving Previs AI gut, this replacement product forward with hopefully a launch in 2025, partnerships in EU and Asia, and we believe we'll be having exit discussions with strategics in the 2025 timeframe. That is the Entac story. Please I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Great, thank you. Lianne, is there any questions from your end?
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how the product is installed? Is there any education that's required for physicians to put this on a patient?
Yeah, a physician actually wouldn't do it. It would be more like a floating, a circulating nurse in an OR or somebody in the PACU right after surgery. And it comes in, you just take it out of the box and you peel this thing off the back. It has an adhesive on the back of it, and you just place it on the patient's abdomen anywhere. You can place it anywhere on the patient's abdomen, and then you just hit one button and you walk away. And then at post-op hour 12, it gives you the answer. Now, when a nurse is checking on a patient in the interim time, they can push that button and it'll tell them how long it will be before they get that prediction, before the Previs index comes up, and they'll know that data. But it's very, very simple to use for anybody can learn to use this thing.
And you said they'll know 12 hours after surgery. When do complications typically happen?
Yeah, so the postoperative ileus, by definition, doesn't begin, until greater than 24 hours after surgery.
Okay.
But if a patient vomits within the first 24 hours, it's about the anesthesia and other drugs that are used in surgery. And ileus is a totally separate phenomenon where there's this dysmotility or acute paralysis of it, and that does not begin. The typical time frame is between 2 and 10 days after surgery. That's why you want to predict it on that first day, because that surgeon has to make a couple of decisions. Surgeon has to say, when can I refeed this patient? If they're going to develop an ileus, you do not want to feed them, right? Because you're going to just make it worse because they're going to have a belly full of food. And then when can I discharge them without worrying about that happening at home? That's why those two protocols I showed you both are suboptimal. Neither one of them work very well. This allows you to tailor those two major decisions to the patient's risk of the major complication of the surgery.
And there's no blood test that could check for that?
No blood tests, there's no other technology, there's no other anything that can predict this.
Well, that positions you.
It does position us, yes. And we don't know if anything really that's on the horizon that can do it either.
What are the general economics of this?
So, like I told you, the device itself, the device lists for $795, but most patients would get, most hospitals who have appropriate volumes would get it down to around $600. And when you look at saving one day in a hospital stay in the United States is $2,750. So if you just save the hospital one day for a patient, you've got almost a 5 times ROI just for a single day. And that's what you're really after. Most hospitals, we can save them more than one day, depending on how long your average length of stay is for those patients. So it's a tremendous ROI for just saving a day. But most hospitals, we can save them 2 days or 3 days, or sometimes even 4 days, depending on what their current protocols are. So it's, and then on the other side, postoperative ileus is 35% undercoded for reimbursement. We have a companion program called Previs CDP, which helps hospitals to more accurately code for that. And those patients also would be reimbursed that are not currently being reimbursed. And it is likely that for most hospitals, by appropriately coding for reimbursement for postoperative ileus, they would get enough money back to pay for all the devices that they would need. So they would never really even pay for it. And then they get the cost savings from reduction in length of stay and the opportunity revenue of that reduction as well.
Awesome.
Great, thank you. And Chee-We, what questions do you have for Buddy?
I have to. Buddy, I missed, I think, the last comment here. Walk me through where we are in terms of the reimbursement and sort of the, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is that the hospitals themselves are motivated to use this device because it reduces cost. Let me just understand,
there is a tremendous pressure right now on hospitals to reduce length of stay. This is the number one thing. And the reason it is because, post-COVID, hospitals are really in bad straits here, financial straits. They've been losing tons of money. And the average length of stay of a hospital post-COVID has stayed really high, much higher than they thought it would do. So their fastest way to get their financials under control is to reduce their overall length of stay, right? If you can get a patient out of the hospital, because we live in a fixed payment world, they get a fixed payment for taking care of a patient. So if you can reduce one day off of that, that $2,750 average drops to the bottom line, right?
And so who is the buyer at the hospital?
Hospital itself is the buyer.
Who within the hospital though?
Oh, who within the hospital? So it's a two-pronged sale. First of all, you go to colorectal surgeons, or you go to urologists who are doing cystectomies, or you go to surgical gynecology, those people who do major abdominal surgery, and you get them on board. And then they become your champion because it's better patient care for them, right? Their patients are going to do better. They're going to make better decisions. And then they take that to administration, whoever the administrators are, and it goes through a value analysis committee. Just like every other medical device that's introduced into a hospital, it goes through the same process as everything else. Now, ambulatory colectomy gives us an opportunity to sidestep that back committee because they'll be using this in a quality improvement program. And when they use them in a quality improvement program, they often allow it to provide devices to be purchased without having to go through VAC. But gee, that's the basic the way it goes into a hospital. You sell the physicians and they sell the administrators, and you help them sell the administrators. But that's very common in medical devices in the United States.
Got it. My second question is around the current round and then also the financing that has been raised. So I saw that it's a safe note with $8 million cap. I presume that's post money cap or that's a pre-money cap?
That's a pre-money gap. So what meaning that, so we did this, we did this round this way because it didn't make sense to do a price round because we were getting ready to come up on two really big milestones, right? Revenue generation, one, we go from pre-revenue to revenue, that boosts your valuation. And the second one was that data that I showed you in heart and lung that we've been waiting on and to develop to go into our next product. So we knew we were going to get that. We knew that would boost the valuation of the company in a price round. So what we wanted to do was go out and do a convertible note and raise enough money to comfortably get us through there, right? So that we could, and then do the price round with a higher valuation. So whatever the investor comes in with now, their valuation in that price round, if that valuation is $50 million, their valuation they're getting in at will only be $8 million. That's where that, the cap comes in.
Okay. And so roughly speaking, with 6.1 that's already been raised and another 1.5, you would have, roughly speaking, half the company diluted if it's at roughly 8 million pre. Just
yeah, well, after this particular round, if we raise a couple of $1 million, it's really convertible, so it's not the same as a price round, right? But I guess you could say that you would have about an $11 million post-money valuation, but it's the next round that matters. That price round will come around the middle of next year, and that will really set the tone because we will have revenue. We will have, we'll be moving toward a new product development opportunity as well. And we believe, and that's why we did it this way, because we believe that round, the valuation will be much, much higher.
okay.
All right. Well, thank you for your questions. And Buddy, thank you for the presentation. It was great to see it.
Thank you. Thank you, David. We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And with that, our next presenter, we will have Cecile from Hyprevention. She will be up here in just a moment.
Oh, hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lianne. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Hyprevention. At Hyprevention, we have developed the strut plastic technology, and this technology aims to reinforce the bone weakened by osteoporosis or cancer. And we have today a first product available on the US market. The problem we want to solve with our technology is the problem of vertebral fracture. In the US, there are about 550,000 vertebral fractures each year, among which 250,000 leads to surgical treatment. And after the treatment, there is still adjacent fracture. That means when on the picture on the left, when a patient has a fracture and is treated, is going to have an additional fracture on the upper or lower level. And this, of course, affects the quality of life of the patient because of pain, new surgery, and of course, it leads to additional costs. So that's what we want to address. And for that, we have developed the V-Strut transpedicular implant. It's an implant that is positioned in the vertebrae through the back of the patient up to the anterior part of the vertebrae. And this device is made of polymer that is able to absorb the stress received on the vertebrae. And doing that, we treat the fracture on one hand, and also we prevent the fracture on the adjacent level, meaning we perform a prevention on the adjacent levels. This device has been cleared by the FDA and is also patented. We have a worldwide patent coverage for the strut plastic technology. We have the V-Strut product. With the V-Strut, we could develop more application, and we have another product called Y-Strut using the same technology to prevent hip fracture. In terms of competition for V-Strut, we really are the unique product on the market able to prevent the adjacent fracture post-treatment, and we have a very affordable cost. So regarding the clinical outcomes, we are really the best to prevent adjacent fracture, with a rate of adjacent fracture at only 3% compared to, for example, the spine jack device acquired recently by Stryker that still have a 10% adjacent fracture, or the more other technique like vertebroplasty or kyphoplasty with a 25% adjacent fracture. In terms of cost, we are also very good because we are at average selling price in hospital at $4,000, which is really a better price than the Stryker product. I developed the Striker product before when I was in a French company, and this product was designed for trauma and not for osteoporosis. That's what explained it's not so good in osteoporosis. In terms of business model, so we have a French company where the products are manufactured. Then we ship the product to our US company. We have a warehouse in the US, and this allows us to distribute our product to our final users. Our preferred users are hospitals. This is really our priority because in hospitals, we have a high reimbursement and can have a high pricing. And the reimbursement actually is enforced through different coding. And in addition to the reimbursement to the procedure, we also have access to the reimbursement of the device itself. So as I already said, we have an average selling price at more than $4,000. And on that, we have a gross margin of 88%, which is what usually the big company are expecting. In terms of market access, so at that time, we have started to work with 10 major hospitals in the country, a lot on the East Coast because I'm based on the East Coast. So we started with the East Coast. So we have a customer at Mount Sinai, Johns Hopkins, North Wales. So very big names, University of California, San Diego, Texas Health Resources. So we are really big names. We manage direct sales with these hospitals. And it is managed by our business development manager. They are not employees, they get a commission. And to help them to attend the surgery, we also work with sales agent, independent sales agent. To identify and talk to these customers, we organize webinars, scientific congresses. We conduct post-market registry in order to publish our good clinical results. And today we have about 350,000 revenue accumulated for this product Vistret. Regarding the overall market, so it's a large market. It's 1 billion international market in 2022. It should be double in 2030. If we look at the US only, it's a $500 million market, so very specific market to treat vertebral fractures through the procedure called percutaneous vertebral augmentation. And considering that with Vistret, we target osteoporotic fracture and cancer fracture, our addressable market is about 95% of this total market. So our plan is to take between 4 and 10% of the market, and our first objective is to have 20 million in revenue in the coming years. And to do so, that means we will need to do 5,000 cases each year, which represent a batch of customers of 100 physicians doing 1 case per week, which is really achievable. Regarding the company structure and the team, so I told you we have a French company and the US company. Today, the French company is a parent company because the company was established first in France, but early January 2024, we will do a flip in order the US company becomes a parent company and the French company becomes a subsidiary. So I'm the CEO and founder. I have an experience in medical devices for more than 25 years. And to develop the sales, I also have 3 business managers, 1 in Florida, 1 in Texas, and 1 in California in order to develop the business here in the US. And also we have established a medical advisory board to support us. And we have 1 doctor from Mount Sinai and 1 doctor from Johns Hopkins in our board. In terms of projection and cash flow, so as I said, we plan for 20 million revenue in 2028 with a 80% gross margin. Most of our expenses will be dedicated to marketing and sales and manufacture the product we are going to sell. And today we have a monthly cash burn of about $125,000. So The company, as I explained, developed the strut plastic technology. So before the creation of the company in 2010 and today, we had developed first a white strut product for the hip that was used in Europe. In more than 100 cases, we were able to generate revenue in Europe. We have patent and publication. But unfortunately, with the new regulation in Europe, we lost the CE marking of this product. And so the plan is to come back here in the US with this very good product. And we plan for a breakthrough designation and then a 510K. We already met the FDA for that. And regarding Vistrut, he receives the 510K in March 2020. Today, we have a clinical experience of more than 40 patients. And we are able to generate revenue on this product. And for this period, we raised a total of 9.6 million that were invested mainly by business angel. And more recently, in 2022, we had a lead investor, Yellowstone, and they are a family office. And for the next step, we plan to raise 10 million in 3 tranches. And the objective will be to continue to develop the V-strut, to develop the Y-strut, and maybe more application with our strut plastic technology. So for this first tranche among the 10 million, so we are raising 2 million today with a preliminary valuation of 22 million. We already have 1 million secured by our lead investor, Yellowstone, and so we still have 1 million available for this tranche. And the purpose of this fundraising is to develop the US sales team in order to reach 1 million revenue, which means 250 procedures. We want to continue to promote our product and train users, and our objective is to have 25 recurrent users in order to be able to reach our sales objective. We will continue to enhance our product V-strut with new sizes, new indication, and a new 510K. And we like to complete our US post-market registry with at least 200 patients. And then we will have more tranches for 3 and 5 million with an increase in valuation to continue to develop the company and have a larger clinical experience and clinical data, and also increase our revenues. In terms of exit, we plan for an acquisition of this first product, V-strut, at 4 years, and with an exit value at 200 million. And this is based on comparators. So, for example, Stryker acquires a Spanjack that I developed a long time ago at Vexim. So it was acquired at the time. Vexim had 18 million in revenue, so sales in Europe only, and they just had the 510K. And this acquisition was done at 185 million. And there is another example in our field with a Vertiflex device, which is also a vertebral spine device. And Boston Scientific acquired Vertiflex for almost half billion, and it was also with a 510K and some sales in Europe. And so to summarize, we have a unique technology, really the strut plastic technology. There is nothing equivalent. We have a worldwide patent coverage. Our V-strut product is already on the market with a 510K reimbursement, and we can show that we are superior to the competitive product. And we also have a nice network of major hospital and key opinion leaders that allow us to tell that we will have a quick ramp up with this product.
Great, Cecile. Thank you for your presentation. Chee-We, what questions do you have for Cecile?
I actually don't have any question. I think it's great to hear about your progress. And then wish the team all the best.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Lianne, what questions do you have for Cecile?
Yeah, what's your customer acquisition cost, and how much of it needs to be education for people or for physicians to adopt your
So,
technology?
so we target doctor who have an experience in kyphoplasty and sponjac in order they have the technical skills to use our product, and also because we know there's a doctor who already have the patients, you know, the patients, they already treat patient with vertebral fractures. So in terms of training, it's not so much because they are qualified to be to have the skills, the needed skills. However, we can do a cadaver lab training. Some doctors like to have cadaver lab training, and what we do more and more is we train the doctor in their facility. We come with a phantom that is that mimics the spine, and we train them in their own facility with their own imaging in order they are as close as possible to the normal case.
Great. Well, thank you, Cecile, and I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Now, for our final presenter today, we will be bringing up David and Claudio of Persica.
Excellent. So let's switch from healthcare to energy storage. Persica is a battery technology company, and the company is about 3 years old. The focus of it is to develop a substantially new battery, which has an energy density more than twice that of the conventional lithium-ion battery. And you can see here some of the targets that we built this company around, which are technical targets, basically higher energy density, higher cycle life, faster charge rate, and much lower cost. These are very important metrics for new battery technology to be adopted. So what is the problem with the existing lithium-ion battery that powers your cell phone and your electric car? Well, the most important metric of the battery, the energy density, I'm going to keep saying it, has been improving. You can see here on the graph has been improving since commercialization, but now it's plateauing. So we are reaching the limits of the chemistry that has remained unchanged for 30 years. And now there is a gold rush in this space to introduce the next generation chemistry, which can go way beyond this plateau. It's important to understand our competitors in our space. And here we have a slide which is sort of color-coded with our competitors. There are several companies, all of these players here, over $1 billion valuation. There's 3 types of materials that people are using to go beyond the energy density of the conventional lithium-ion. Generally, this space is called solid-state batteries. So these are solid-state batteries. So we are a very modern, the latest addition to this history. But what's important to understand here, all these players, they use pre-existing technology. So you can see the color coding technology from the 70s and 80s. So this technology is commercial now. These companies can purchase it, and they engineer around it. So they have severe limitation as to how much energy they can extract from a battery, which is governed by what they can buy. We introduced a new material, a new polymer, which is our own technology. And there's no way for them to catch up with us in terms of energy density unless they use a material like ours, which they don't have. So this is our key competitive advantage. This graph here shows energy density is very simple. The higher up you go, up in this trajectory, and we are over here, the higher the energy density. So the reference point is this purple dot here. If you follow my red cursor, that's the conventional lithium-ion. CATL is the name of the company, the largest cell manufacturing company in the world. That's where the energy density sits. And you can see our competitors, they cluster around here. So they give an arm and a leg for 10, 20, 30, 50% improvement in energy density. We are more than double. And why can we do this? Is because of our proprietary material, which they don't have access to. It's much lighter in weight and it has much higher conductivity for lithium-ion than the materials that our competitors can use. So this is our core technology number 1. This invention, this new polymer, is a unique chemistry. There's no material like it on the market. The benefits abound, much higher conductivity for lithium, which means much faster charging, much lower cost. These results have been checked externally by Argonne National Lab, so we have external confirmation for these results. From this material, we make the components of our new cell, the new chemistry. This is the stuff that goes inside the battery, and one such component is the separator. This is a picture of our solid separator. So it's fully solid. It has no liquid electrolyte. The conventional lithium-ion battery from your cell phone has very flammable liquids. There's none of that in our battery. It's all solid. There's nothing flammable inside our battery. So this is a very important technology. Another important technology is the anode. We have very unique technology here. We make these lithium conductive fibers, very cool looking over here, sort of like a sponge. This is completely different than the convention of the battery that you have in your pocket. Nobody else does this. This enables us to have much cycle life, much higher charge rate because of these lithium conductive fibers. And again, it's based on our material, so nobody else can do this. And last but not least, this is the third component in the cell, which pertains to our new chemistry, is the solid cathode layer. And you can see here, you have these particles, and between the particles, you have the polymer, and it's all solid. There's no liquid that is added in here. Again, this is something very new. All of our three layers are solid, cathode, anode, and separator. There are no flammable liquids, and because of our polymer is extremely light in weight, our competitors use glasses and ceramics, which are very heavy. We can get much higher energy density. This is a list of our patents. The company is about 2.5 years old. We have nearly 20 patents so far. There is degree of in the process. Our oldest first patent has been granted. The other ones are coming through. We patent all the time. We're very busy in this area. This is sort of a picture which shows the advantage in very simple terms of our battery. So you take a Tesla Model 3 and you can envision a battery that is made from our chemistry. You get 150% increase in driving range. So if you start driving from Miami and you drive all the way to Washington, D.C., the way the battery is in the Model 3 right now, you have to stop where the black square stops. So you have to stop 5 times. If you swap with a battery made from our chemistry that I described, then you only have to stop twice. So significantly, this is what energy density means. You can drive longer per charge, and massive reduction in cost on top of that. So our space, we have very big upside in terms of valuation, in terms of market size and everything. The electrification and battery space is increasing very fast, 16% CAGR, and then is projected to pass 300 billion by 2030. Massive space. We think we can have a substantial amount of portion of this pie. There will be other players in this space as well, but we're very confident that based on our proprietary materials, it's going to be very difficult to compete with us. This is a list of possible, basically the commercialization plan, the markets that we can enter. They're organized in 4 phases. The phases are based on the duration of use of the consumer. So basically, something like an airplane utilizes 20-30 years lifetime, so very high cycle life for the battery, and something like a fitness tracker is used for 1 year or 2 years, very low cycle life. So as your battery, in addition to the very high energy density, improves the cycle life, you can enter these phases. This is typically how battery go-to-market plans look like. But we've been talking about battery so far, and that's what we're trying to do. But right now, the technology that we have right now, the polymer and the cell components, the separator and the anode, we have value right now. So we can enter $20 billion value of this market. So the polymer that we have, we can license it inside battery, outside of battery, inside battery, and conventional battery that everyone is using. We can license our polymer as a binder. We can license it as a conventional separator, not the solid separator that we use, a conventional separator. And we can do similar things with the anode. So right now, the technology that we have, in addition to the sort of long-term projection of our very advantageous battery, we have value opportunity right now. This is our financing plan. Basically, we raised 2 rounds of 1 million, our pre-seed and seed rounds. We've had very recent sort of a jump in technology, very positive results. So we are reopening this last round of 1 million. This is the purpose of this call. For another 250K or so, we want to close it in 2-3 weeks. We had this very positive breakthrough in terms of technology. We want to capitalize on it and basically accelerate very fast. We'll be able to raise around the next year, building up on this 250K extension that we're trying to wrap up. This is our team. We all come from the industry. We are not an academic spinoff. I worked 15 years in this solid-state battery industry for the OEMs for the past 15 years, developing this type of battery for companies like Toyota, Great Wall Motor, S-Volt Energy. All these are very big names in this space. And the others, they all come from the industry. On the bottom, you can see those are the scientists and engineers that we hired so far. We recently filled a position. We advertised for 4 days on LinkedIn. We got more than 100 applications, so it's very easy for us to get access to high talent. We think we have an outstanding advisory board. 2 names here that everybody in the battery industry knows are Bob Gallian and Tom Schneeberger. Basically, mostly all the technology in battery runs by Bob Gallian's desk, and he's very connected in the space. So we feel very privileged that he's on our board. He believes in our technology. So that's a very good sign for us. So to wrap things up, I appreciate your attention. We have a massive, extremely high growth opportunity. This is specific to this energy storage and battery market. Our company has a significant technology advantage over our competitors. In fact, we have our proprietary material that enables very high energy densities that nobody else has. This material offers extremely advantageous for cost advantage, so much cheaper batteries. We understand IP very well. We come from the industry. We're very active for international patent portfolio. Our management team is very experienced, comes from the industry. We are not an academic spinoff. We think we understand the markets very well. All of us have worked for companies that would be our customers in the future in our previous career. We have a very good and strategic commercialization plan. And we run a very lean show, very prudent use of capital. Most of the money that we raise goes towards engineering and development. And last but not least, we already have technology that right now has significant monetization opportunity. So I'll thank you for your attention, and I'll stop my share.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Chee-We,
Yeah.
what questions do you have from?
Sure. I have 4 questions. So in terms of solid state lithium batteries, can you speak to one, the conventional issue that the contact between the electrolytes, the solid electrolyte and the anodes and cathodes, right? That's one. And then in terms of cost of manufacturing, that has always been a traditional challenge. The third question I have is, since you work with Toyota, Toyota has invested lots of money into this. They have a huge patent portfolio. Can you speak a little bit to that in terms of, where we are and, how, I guess, do we actually, do we actually rely on any of those patents, or like, are we totally different and so forth? Therefore, what's the IP risk there? And then lastly, I noticed that we started in 2011. We only raised $1 million, and then, for, I guess, 12 years, how did you operate? And then now raising the second round. So just trying to understand that time between 2011 and now.
Thank you for the questions. You seem to be very knowledgeable about the space. We started in 2020, not in 2011. There must be a mix-up there with the data that was put. So we're 2.5 years old. We raised the first round in about 2 years ago. So let me get to your questions. So these are issues that I've been wrestling with my entire career, the contact between the layers. And we have fixed this problem. So this is why I'm saying we have a unique material. This material innovation fixes all these issues. We have a polymer which is very soft. Basically, it's like a glue, and the layers just glue to each other. So you can laminate them very easily. There is absolutely no problem on the interface. So that problem is taken care of. Then about cost. the only commercial, there are two examples of commercial solid state batteries. One in 1968 for actually a battery that was, it was a pacemaker battery. It was healthcare related. And another one in 2010 for battery for EV. Both of these batteries, most of these materials are polymers. The new materials, which are glasses and ceramics, have not been commercialized yet. You spoke about Toyota, they favor one of these two, the glass. Very, very expensive and very difficult to scale. The polymers are not difficult to scale and they have already been shown to work. We have a new polymer. So the old polymer hasn't lived up to the hype. That is why the glass and ceramics come in with these new companies, because it has issues, technical issues. We solved those issues with our new polymer. So the issues that the polymer had, we have solved. So basically, we just rendered all the past 30 years of development in expensive ceramics and expensive glasses completely useless, because we have a material that is easily scalable, and it's a polymer. It doesn't react with anything. You can work with it. It's sticky. So I think I hit all your questions.
Great. And Lianne, do you have any questions for Claudio?
I'm not as knowledgeable in this field, but I did have a question about how quickly you can commercialize at your current state. So you talked about a longer timeline for developing the batteries, but a shorter timeline for commercialization of the polymer, correct?
Right. So we're focused on the battery, and the reason that we decided to expand this 1 million round is because we were able to demonstrate all our layers work together in a cell. So in our roadmap, this was not supposed to come for another year and a half. So now we have that. So now we hire a certain type of engineer that we need. As we move along, basically within a year and a half, we can go to pilot. And depending on the cycle life that we have, we can enter one of the 4 phases that I mentioned on that slide. So that's the sort of timeline.
And then you also spoke a little bit about it not being flammable anymore. Can you speak more on that? Because I feel like recently I've seen decks about how they're trying to correct for lithium ions having the potential to explode in cars. And so if the whole thing is inflammable, does that make those technologies irrelevant?
Yeah. So the lithium-ion battery, as it currently exists, by volume, about 30% of the battery by volume is organic solvents, which are basically fuel for fire, organic solvents. That is the electrolyte, the liquid electrolyte. We do not use any of it. So our liquid electrolyte is this polymer mixed with lithium salt. So the polymer doesn't burn. It doesn't even melt, actually, which is another big problem in conventional polymers used. It has very elevated thermal properties. It's a great material. So the conventional battery industry is trying to add additives into liquid electrolytes to reduce their flammability. The problem with adding these additives is, yes, you can reduce flammability, but you also increase the resistance in the battery. So now you cannot charge as fast, and also you have to use more electrolyte because now it's lower resistance, which reduces the energy density. In our case, we have non-flammable and more than double the energy density. So you get a lot of benefits from this technical strategy that we have.
Great. Well, if that concludes everybody's questions, that will conclude our pitches for today.